President Trump's recent executive order reinstating a travel ban on 12 countries, which is citing national security concerns. The ban affects nations including Afghanistan, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Myanmar, Eritrea, Sudan, Yemen, and Haiti. And the administration argues that these countries have inadequate vetting processes and have been uncooperative in accepting deportees. And the move has sparked international criticism and is expected to face legal challenges. So let's kind of get into some of the hallmarks of this so we can get a better breakdown when it comes to each country and why they are either being banned from traveling to America or they have partial restrictions in traveling to America. When it comes to Afghanistan, the document highlights that the Taliban, which controls the country, is a specially designated global terrorist group. And the Afghan nationals that are here are overstaying their visas is also cited. So again, I think everyone can agree with Afghanistan. When it comes to Iran, we've always been very indifferent in Iran. We have not been allies with Iran. But it states that Trump's proclamation identified Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism. They've been labeled that for a very, very long time. And it states that the sponsorship of proxy groups operating in the region such as Hamas and Hezbollah. So two very major terrorist groups. They're saying getting support from Iran. Trump says that the country is a source of significant terrorism around the world. So why should we have these people traveling to America? We don't know who's who. Again, very discriminatory, but we have to understand the larger picture. Whether you agree or disagree that in these regards, either he's being discriminatory or he's looking at the bigger picture of the security of America. Somalia, the East African country, is branded by Trump as a terrorist safe haven. Like Iran, it also accused of failing to accept its nationals when removed from the U.S. They're saying, hey, don't deport them here. We have enough problems. Well, these are your countrymen. These are your natives. No. We're not going to accept them. It also goes on to state that government faces a very significant challenge from armed Islamists, meaning that we don't know who's in control of the country. And when it comes to Libya, it's cited for his historical terrorist presence, which is painted as a security threat to Americans. I believe this is 1,000% false. Libya, when it comes to Libya, that is 1,000% false in my opinion. Haiti, hundreds of thousands of illegal Haitian aliens flooded into the United States during the Biden administration, now including the creation of criminal networks and high visa overstays. Data from the U.S. Census Bureau suggests that more than 852,000 Haitians were living in the U.S. in February of 2024, though it does not give a breakdown of when those migrants arrived, because basically some of these immigrants, some of these migrants could absolutely be legal residents or legal visa card holders. And quite frankly, here's just a map of the countries that have been either restricted or banned. The ones that are in deep red are the ones that banned, and the ones that are in a pink are visa restricted, okay? These are visa restricted. So Cuba, Venezuela, kind of daunting that Venezuela is not banned, but they're partially restricted. Then you have all these other countries. Now, majority of these countries are in Africa, if you notice that. So you have the continent of Africa shaped in white. Then you have Somalia, Burundi, Congo, Equatorial Guinea. Togo is partially restricted. Sierra Leone is partially restricted, but you also have Chad, Libya, Sudan, Eritrea. Yemen is in the Middle East here. Iran, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan is in the Middle East. Laos is partially restricted. It's an Asian country, and Myanmar is also an Asian country as well. So again, Haiti, Caribbean country. Okay, so when we look at the dynamics and demographics of the breakdown of the countries that are being banned. Now, Chad is signaled out for showing a blatant disregard for United States immigration law. So that is why they have been banned. It goes on to state that the document highlights an overstay rate of almost 50% from people who are from the country of Chad on business or tourist visas in 2023, given a report by the Department of Human Services. Congo, as well as Equatorial Guinea, have equivalent rates of around 30% and 22% respectively, but these rates are lower than Laos, which faces a lesser restriction. Myanmar, referred to as Chad in the Trump proclamation, is similarly accused of high visa overstay rates, and that the country is further accused of not cooperating with the U.S. to accept deported Burmese nationals. You have Eritrea, Sudan, and Yemen. It states that the first allegations made by Trump is that they have questionable competence at issuing passports and civil documents, meaning that their government is not intact. Eritrea and Sudan are further accused of having relatively high visa overstay rates. Eritrea also blamed for failing to make the criminal records of its national available to the U.S. and of refusing to accept deported nationals, because basically the U.S. government is stating, give us the records, the civil records of the nationals that are trying to immigrate to the United States of America so we can see their criminal past, if any. And if you're not supplying that, then we're going to ban and or restrict people from traveling to the United States from these countries. Yemen is also accused of lacking control over its own land. We don't know who's in charge of it. We either be the terrorist groups or the civilian government, because the U.S. have been combating Houthis who have seized much of the north and west of the country during an ongoing civil war. Venezuela. Allegations of visa overstays and refusal to accept deportees are again mentioned in response. The South American country had described the Trump administration as supremacists who think they own the world. I can see that. And in a lot of regards, I can agree. And it stated that the alleged refusal to accept deportees is also mentioned as our visa overstays. Visa overstays are again present as the key issue in the case of Burundi, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Turkmenistan. So again, these are a lot of the countries that the Trump administration has, banned and or restricted because of visa overstays or sometimes to terroristic groups. Now, when we look at the following 7 countries that are subject to partial travel restriction, you have Laos, Burundi, Togo, Sierra Leone, Cuba, Venezuela, Turkmenistan. We have to look for these nations. The restrictions primarily targeted non-immigrant visas, including B1, B2, that's business and tourism, okay? That is what they're mainly targeting. You have all these different categorizations. B1, B2 are business and tourism. F is for students, M is for vocational student, and J is exchange visitor students when it comes to visas. Immigrant visas are also affected. However, certain categories, such as lawful permanent residents and individual whose entry is deemed in the U.S. national interest, are exempt, but they have to be deemed in the U.S. national interest. Now, when you have these countries with full travel bans, Afghanistan, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Eritrea, Burma or Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and Haiti, citizens from these nations are barred from entering the U.S. under any visa category, both immigrant and non-immigrant. And the administration justified these bans by citing inadequate vetting procedures, lack of cooperation in accepting deported nationals, and concerns over terroristic activities. So again, I can give a whole breakdown of how these countries are being restricted, but let's look at why Venezuela faces partial but not full restriction. Now, despite concerns over criminal elements entering the U.S. from Venezuela, the country is subject to partial rather than full restriction. Now, this is why I kind of believe the rationale includes, because Venezuela's government is deemed incapable of issuing trustworthy passports and civil documents. The country has historically refused to accept its nationals who are subject to deportation from the United States of America. And a large population of Venezuelans that come to America, Venezuelan nationals, have a significant rate of overstaying their visas, particularly in the B1, B2 category. Now, a complete ban might have broader humanitarian implication given the ongoing crisis in Venezuela and the number of asylum seekers. Additionally, many Venezuelans in the U.S. are under temporary protective status, even though that status is slowly being wiped away, or some of them having pending asylum applications, which that again is being restricted and decreased and complicating the enforcement of a full ban. So the reinstatement and expansion of the travel ban have sparked significant debate, and the supporters argue it's a necessary measure for national security, while critics view it as a discriminatory and politically motivated piece of jargon. And this poses legal challenges. They're going to come to wait and are very anticipated. So again, when we look at these complexities of the travel ban, is it discriminatory or is this national security? Those are the questions that people are asking.